Good afternoon, everyone. So glad to see so many smiling faces in the audience today. My name is Tammy Covington, and I'm the president and CEO of the High Point Market Authority. Does everybody love the fact that you're sitting down right now? Knees are bent, feels really good. Yes, this is day two, official day two of High Point Market. Hopefully you all have seen some fantastic product, met some great people, learned some good things, all of which is going to make your business better. And today we're going to continue that trend as you join us for our Sunday keynote. We're thrilled to welcome you to a conversation that invites us to think more deeply about the connection between design and well-being. As interest grows around neuroaesthetics and biophilia, designers have an opportunity to create spaces that not only look beautiful, but also support how we feel and how we live. This session brings that idea to life through High Point Market's first virtual designer show house, highlighting the intersection of science and design. We're proud to partner today with Science and Design on this conversation and to showcase how health-based design is becoming an important part of our industry. We're going to have a short video, and then we will invite everyone to welcome today's moderator, founder of Science and Design, Mike Peterson. Thanks for being here.
I love this room. We feel so good here. You know, it's what your clients have been telling you for years. When a space is right, truly right, something shifts in the body. As creatures of nature, our brains have evolved to seek beauty. The need is actually hardwired in our DNA, encoded in us as an essential part of our humanity. And science now has a name for what you have been doing all along: neuroaesthetics. The study of how beauty, like the beauty you create, impacts the human mind and body. You now create health. It's a stunning shift that elevates the status and perception of our industry. Think about the tools you already reach for. Fractal patterns, the geometry of nature itself, repeating in ferns, shorelines, the grain of wood. These have the power to reduce stress levels, organize complexity, spaces that are rich and layered, but never overwhelming. Our brains were built for exactly this. Dappled light, the light that filters through leaves, drifts across a wall, and breathes with the day. It alters the mood, it anchors us to the rhythms of life from ages ago. These are not new. The science of today has simply learned to measure how they affect us. The future of design, of our industry, is born in science. The spaces you design lower heart rates, reduce cortisol, release serotonin. Design is not decoration. It is behavioral strategy. It is life enhancing. It is life extending. You now have the opportunity to make a conscious contribution to human health and ecological well-being. You prescribe health with the beauty you create. Science now considers you to be an alternative health resource. Let's own it, internalize it, and rise to meet it. Welcome to your future. Welcome to the future of design.
Well, hello, everybody, and thank you. My name's Mike Peterson, and I'll be your host for today's presentation. Did you like the reel? Did you like the teaser reel? Yeah, I particularly like the voiceover guy. Anyway, thank you again for being here with us. I want to start by thanking the HPMA Tammy, Ben, and Lindsay, especially Lindsay Martin, for doing such a phenomenal job in working with us and putting this together. Thank you also to BSB Design, an architectural and design firm out of Charlotte that has been working with us these last several months. And one guy in particular, Devin Sigmund from BSB Design, who has helped put all of these slides together. Devin, stand up. Where are you, Devin? All of the designs that you're going to see, all the renderings you're going to see today were put together by Devin, designed by the designers, but put together by Devin. So here's the way today's going to work. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the science behind design, and then I'm going to turn it over to the 6 esteemed designers who have put all of these rooms together. So let's start with a question. Do you improve health? Do you create beauty? Do you believe it? Can you internalize it? Do you know that you extend life with what you do? In just the last 8 or 9 years, we have seen a seismic shift in the home furnishings and interior design industry. We're not just designing for attractiveness or aesthetics any longer. We really are designing for the purpose of creating health. That's the future of our industry. Now, to help us all better understand what the designers will be talking about, what I've done is pull together a few slides introducing the new language of design. And so let me start just with the word biophilia. Break the word down. Bio meaning nature, philia meaning love of. We're talking about our love of nature. And biophilic design is essentially bringing nature into the home, into the home's design. Neuroaesthetics. You know, 5 years ago, nobody had ever heard of the word neuroaesthetics. And yet here we are delivering the keynote presentation at April Market on neuroaesthetics. That's how important it's become. Neuroaesthetics is essentially the study of how the built environment affects our minds and body. In particular, how beauty affects our minds and bodies. Now, a couple of other neuroaesthetic principles that you're going to hear mentioned a couple of times in the presentations. Our minds seek out organized complexity. How boring is a straight line, for instance? It doesn't become interesting until we give it movement. Complex elements, but carefully organized, attracts our minds, because science now knows our minds have evolved to be the perfect example of organized complexity. Fractal patterns are extraordinarily important to the human mind. Fractals are self-similar patterns over a range of scales, continuous, consistent, and similar geometric images. Fractals are things like ferns and snowflakes and waves in the ocean, and of course, tree canopies. Fractals replicate nature's geometries. They've been documented to reduce stress by up to 60%. And fractals appear throughout nature and even in our own bodies. Think of veins in a leaf and the veins in our bodies. Prospect and refuge. Prospect focuses on the perception of long distances. God bless you. Sometimes even the distances across a room. And refuge focuses on enclosed spaces that provide intimacy, protection, and security. Think of a window seat with a view out the window. Or think of it, being in a restaurant and you're at the table against the wall. Your back is protected by the wall, but you have a view to the rest of the room. The essence of prospect and refuge. Whoops. Dappled lighting replicates the light filtered through the tree canopy, the shadows and the movement of light through the sky. It creates a visually dynamic effect, enhancing textures and colors, and evokes a sense of warmth and intimacy in a space. Okay, let me introduce the family we've designed this house for. We treated this as a universal family of 4, but we've added the value of creating rooms for an African-American family, which for this exercise actually gives us an even greater understanding of how neuroaesthetics can be applied effectively. The science-based principles you will see demonstrated apply universally. Now, this family of 4, the parents are roughly late 40s. They are professionals. The two children, one is the 17-year-old teenage daughter who values her independence, maturity, and self-expression. And the other son, an 8-year-old, benefits from sensory supportive environments. Now, the other things that I need to comment on Marie Cloud. Marie Cloud pulled this profile together for us, and it was just filled with, yes, go ahead. It was just filled with so much detail, giving a great roadway for all of the designers. And so, but the other interesting characteristics were lifestyle and daily rhythm, personal interests and values, and core design motivation. So you're gonna be treated to quite a presentation. Now, I want you to meet the real stars of today's presentation, all of whom are either faculty or science and design certified. You know, it's interesting, for years we've all known that we make our clients feel good. But these designers have moved from opinion-based design to fact-based design. They prescribe health for their clients. And you'll see how they do it in just a few minutes. We'll begin with Daniel Styling of BSB Design. He'll tell us about the home itself. He'll walk us through the home, room by room, and also tell us about the design in the atrium and the study. Daniel will be followed by Kat Blue of Blue Lantern Studios in Atlanta, then Gabrielle Kuzik-Ju of Mindwell Design in Toronto, then Marie Cloud of Indigo Pruitt in Charlotte, Erica McLean of MXD Interiors in Dallas, and Angela Harris, a very good friend and longtime supporter of what we've been doing at Science and Design, faculty member and CEO of Trio Design in Denver, will finalize the room presentation for us. By the way, listen closely to how they use the new language of design, the future for all of us. Notice also that the products they're using are from High Point Market showrooms, confirming High Point's role in improving the health of the American consumer. I've seen these slides, I've seen these rooms, and you are in for a treat. Let's get started. Daniel, you're up.
All right. Thank you, Mike. Again, my name is Daniel Styling. I'm with BSB Design, and we're a national architecture firm with 11 offices in the country, and I lead our Charlotte office here in North Carolina. So we wanted to actually do a walkthrough of the plan, the floor plan, just to get everybody's bearings on where you are before we come in with all the other interior designers to look at each individual space. But we started with a proven model home plan that was originally designed in Sacramento for a regional builder. And the intent was to reinterpret and not to reinvent the plan by layering in these principles of neuroaesthetics and biophilic design. This allowed us to create to elevate an already successful plan. So I'm going to just point a few things out. So, and the only way it would fit is if I turned it sideways. So I'm sorry, you have to kind of turn your head maybe a little bit to figure out where you are. So just starting in the foyer. As you enter the foyer, you're welcomed by this central atrium that brings in natural light deep into the home. And many homes that have limited light, we like to use lighter colors throughout the house, like Sherwin-Williams Agreeable Gray or something like that. Our atrium allows us the opportunity to use some other colors that are warmer and more natural. And so you'll see a Sherwin-Williams color used throughout. It's utterly beige, and you wouldn't be able to use colors like that if you didn't have as much natural light. And so this creates this strong axial view straight through the home, from the foyer all the way out the back of the house. We also have this half bath that's right off of the foyer. Moving around the atrium, the hallway becomes more of an experience rather than purely for circulation. Okay, so as soon as you pass the stairs, you enter this glass-lined hall that leads to the study, which we're calling the Neural Nook. I need to speed up. My hands are moving fast here. So the great room is, it's our central living core. It's connected to the dining, the living. It's intentionally open, yet clearly defined, so it's not too open, kind of going back to that prospect and refuge. Off the great room, we have our private corridor that leads to the primary suite that creates this clear transition to a quiet retreat-like zone. It's positioned on the rear of the house for privacy and views. We also have in our primary bath a freestanding tub, a large walk-in shower, a double vanity. We even have this courtyard that creates some privacy but still open to nature. At the end of our primary bath, we have a walk-in closet. So going back to the front of the house, we do have our owner's entry that's connected to a 3-car garage. Also on the front of the house, we have this additional secondary bedroom suite with its own ensuite bath, and that provides flexibility for guests or for multi-generational living on the first floor. There's also some cool spaces here we're going to touch on a little later in our presentation. So next, we're going to move up to the second floor, and at the top of the stairs, you're going to enter the lounge, which is a central multi-level space that becomes kind of the heart of the second floor. So this functions as both a shared gathering space and a circulation hub, while it also reinforces this vertical connection to the level below with these windows that look down into the atrium. I'm kind of writing that there. So from here, you're going to access two other secondary bedroom suites, both with ensuite baths that feature some more cool spaces that we're going to get into later. So that kind of completes a little bit of the high-level walk through the plan. Now I want to dive deeper into the individual spaces, how each one was individually shaped. And I'm going to go over first the atrium, and then I'm going to go over the study. So from the 15, coming back to the atrium, this is what you're going to be greeted once you enter the home. And so it immediately establishes the tone for everything that follows. And so of the 15 principles that are published on biophilic design, we're actually hitting 10 of them in here, okay? And some of them you wouldn't even know. But the most immediate quality is this visual connection to nature. The courtyard's pulling in daylight deep into the center of the home. Your eye is continually oriented outward towards the sky and the greenery and the movement beyond the walls. And beyond that, there's a non-visual connection to nature. That's number 2. There's the texture and the sound that brings this tactile and acoustic layer to the space. A key element here is the presence of water. That's our third, which becomes both visual and sensory anchor for the space. We also introduce non-rhythmic sensory stimuli, which is the flicker of the fire, the shifting reflections of the water. These are moments that keep the space feeling alive. There's a clear sense of thermal and airflow variability as well, moving between fire, shaded stone. This creates a constant but gentle change in conditions that you feel as you move through the space. From a design language standpoint, we're using biomorphic forms and patterns, which are just shapes and compositions that feel derived from nature. The material palette reinforces this through a strong material connection to nature. I haven't been numbering these, but that's the 7th. The space also intentionally is composed around material complexity and order. That's 8. The experience is meant to invoke a sense of mystery and discovery. That's number 9. And you don't see everything at once. The space unfolds as you move through it. And finally, the gradual reveal creates this sense of awe, which is really the whole goal of the entry experience. Next, we're going to move into the study, which we're also calling the neural nook. So if I ask the audience for a show of hands, who here actually puts plants in your home office or your office at work? I wouldn't necessarily want to single anyone out that doesn't, right? But we almost feel like we should. A lot of the times when we design for productivity, we think less is more, and we strip away anything that's just perceived as a distraction, right? And what we're left with was often a space that feels sterile. That's what a lot of offices feel like. So, but research in biophilic design suggests the opposite, that incorporating natural elements can actually improve focus, well-being, and productivity. So instead of minimizing those elements, our approach was to lean into them, making this one of the most intimate and restorative spaces in the home. Intimate and restorative, that's not something you think of in an office setting, is it? So I've got 5 here. The first being a visual connection to nature. So this has the frame views that keep you oriented outward, even in a small, more focused room. The design incorporates biomorphic forms and patterns, which reinforces a sense of softness and organic structure rather than rigid geometry. So we've selected this phasey rug, which helps introduce a layer of complexity and order through subtle repetition and branching patterns. That's our third. From a spatial experience standpoint, this room is a great example of prospect and refuge. So you have this sense of enclosure and protection, but still enough openness and visibility to feel connected to the outdoors. There's also an intentional sense of mystery, where not everything is immediately revealed at once. The light, the views, the spatial edges shift as you move through the space. Another brand that we're featuring here is this cool Christorama chandelier, which really pulls the whole space together. But with that, I'm going to pass it off to Kat, who is going to go through the great room for us.
That felt good, so I wondered if maybe everybody would take a deep breath with me. And you may note that you may feel more calm, centered, grounded, even more present. So imagine if you felt this way upon entering a space. I'm Kat Blue of Blue Lantern Studios, and our design studios focus on sensory-driven, human-centered environments that connect space, behavior, and well-being. For the show house, we designed the Great Room and Solarium, a space where family gathers together. But before we designed this space, we didn't start with how it should look. We started with how it should feel. A home that doesn't just function, but supports you at the end of a full day and gently restores how you feel inside it. This home sits in Greensboro, a place shaped by nature, sustainability, and a deeply rooted creative culture. So the question became, how do you design a home that reflects that same balance between environment, art, and everyday life? What if a space could help you feel calmer without you even realizing why? From the very beginning, we focused on human experience, how someone arrives, settles, connects, or withdraws into quiet. Your eye is naturally drawn outward toward light, toward nature, toward openness. And then the space reveals itself. There we go. We designed for a family that values calm, connection, and meaningful time together. A home that supports focus, decompression, and emotional balance, especially in the quiet rhythms of everyday life. Light becomes a guiding material in the space. The dappled ceiling patterns filter daylight in a way that mimics nature, like sunlight moving through trees. This rhythm reduces visual fatigue and creates a sense of calm movement throughout the space. Materiality is grounded in honesty and tactility. Wood, stone, woven textures, layered with subtle fractal patterns that repeat at different scales, something our brains instinctively recognize as calming. The goal was clarity without sterility, order without rigidity. Some of the most powerful design elements are invisible, but some are also adaptive. Airflow is intentionally designed through cross-ventilation, supporting natural comfort and circulation. Sound creates a soft acoustic layer that helps the mind slow down. We did have some sound here, so if you envision birds chirping and water in the background. And scent, like lavender, can activate calming neurological responses associated with reduced stress. And visual experience is also intentionally regulated. At the television wall, sliding panels allow the space to shift between engagement and restoration. When the television is not in use, it disappears, replaced by a nature-inspired wall covering that restores visual calm. When it is needed, it becomes fully functional again. This simple act of conceal and reveal helps the space support attention and release it. Design becomes most powerful when it supports not just function, but attention itself. As the space extends outward, the experience shifts. The patio offers prospect, open views to the landscape beyond, while elements like the swing create refuge, a sense of being held, protected, and grounded. Water becomes both visual and sensory anchor, its movement and sound creating a steady rhythm and naturally reduces tension and supports restoration. We've incorporated materials and products from select partners whose focus aligns with our design intent around wellness, craft, and sensory experience. A special thanks to Phillips Collection, Christorama, Sherwin-Williams, Ultimately, this space isn't just designed to be seen, it's designed to be felt. When design aligns with how we are naturally wired as humans, it doesn't just create beauty, it supports how we live, connect, and restore. And that is the true potential of design. So I want to leave you with that. And a heartfelt thank you from myself and Blue Lantern team. Andrea and Maria are here today, and Andrea just completed her Science and Design certification. Congratulations, and I'll pass it on to the next designer, Gabrielle, with Mindwell Design.
Do you guys want to take another deep breath and exhale? So I just want to start with, of course, good afternoon. My name is Gabrielle Kozuk-Ju, and I'm the founder of Mindwell Design. Today, I will be revealing the main kitchen, the prep kitchen, and the dining space for the virtual show house. Just picture some calming sounds as we look through the slide. Before I show you the rooms, I want to start with something more intimate, something, more personal, if you will. Picture yourselves walking into your kitchen at 7:15 in the morning. The house is quiet. The light is just starting to peek through the windows. Before the coffee, the emails, before anybody says your name, your body has already read the room. Your body knows whether the space feels calm, chaotic, or whether you can soften and feel at ease. So when I designed these spaces, it wasn't just about the look. It was designing for the nervous system, for how this family actually lives, for how a home can quietly support your health, your regulation, your connection, and ease. So we started with the kitchen. Cue birds chirping. The palette borrows its calm from nature. Deep wood tones, muted greens with bronze and patinaed metal accents. Mineral colors by Sherwin-Williams offer movement and depth. I wanted the space to experience the feeling of walking through a lush green forest, but in kitchen form. Imagine that. The green tones in the kitchen carries a fractal veining pattern, the kind your eye recognizes from branches, rivers, or even a lightning strike in the sky. Your gaze follows it without effort.
That's what creates a sense of soft fascination. It holds your attention just enough to quiet the mental noise so you can relax and actually enjoy the space you're in. Beside it, I paired it with a lighter stone, a quieter, cooler tone, almost like the stillness of winter against the richness of summer. That juxtaposition creates balance in the space. The star tile backsplash adds another fractal pattern. Reminds me of waves crashing at the shore. I see some heads nodding. Then there's the way the space moves. The island curves at the overhang, so wherever you sit, you choose your view. That sense of choice creates subtle agency. Your body relaxes when it does not feel trapped in one rigid orientation. The hood, not one single arch, not a straight line, it's layered. A series of soft waves that draw you in. It gives you permission to come in, to try, to get inspired, cook again, stay hydrated. You feel invited back into the space. I also added ruched drapery behind the glass doors, a hint of, what's behind? Some mystery, little organized chaos. You never know until you approach it. It makes you want to approach it. That introduces some surprise and delight in our minds. I wanted contrast in the right places, stone against velvet, bronze against wood, a room that really feels refined but still very approachable. Our bodies experience sensory cues all at once, whether it's temperature, air quality, light, smell, sound, taste, right? So we want to make sure they're in harmony. Then we move into the prep kitchen. This is where wellness becomes even more intimate and non-judgmental. The baskets and easy access fridge and freezer drawers add predictability and reduce sensory overload for the neurodiverse son and increase the sense of independence for the teenage daughter. For the parents, we have a separate prep kitchen which helps them feel like they can do healthy routines, and that makes it easier for them to come back and do that over again. The family can prioritize fresh, whole foods over packaged conveniences and can enjoy a calm and judgment-free space. Originally, this was just a walk-in pantry. Wanted to get away from that and promote the act of cooking as a form of self-love and a form of, well-being as a whole. Then, the mood shifts as we move into the dining space. I intentionally did not leave it open. Instead, I created a separation with arched openings, marble-cladded jambs, and bronze-framed glass partitions. You still feel connected, but you also feel held. People tend to be more at ease in spaces that offer both expansive visibility, that prospect, and a sense of protection at their back, the refuge. That kind of tells your ancient brain, you are safe, you can approach. This is also an African-American family, and I wanted the space to also hold that with dignity. And this mural cover was also something that evoked memory and belonging for the family and reminded them of some of their happiest childhood memories. This chair that we use for the dining area has arched backs that reference carved wood forms and objects the family grew up truly appreciating. The wooden table brings stability and security. The Fazy rug adds softness underfoot and signals that it is safe to stay. The ceiling fixture creates dappled, filtered light, kind of like being under a canopy of leaves. A picture light from Christa Roma illuminates the family's first fine art piece, a small but proud moment for the family. A different wallpaper continues onto the ceiling in a more atmospheric way, pulling your energy up and around the room. Every single room is asking something of us. Let's make sure your spaces are working for you and not against you. A space that truly calls you to take a deep breath and a sigh of relief, move with less stress, feel supported, regulated, seen. There is no such thing as a neutral space. Every environment either nourishes us or depletes us. A really great quote by Ty Farrell. That, to me, is where design gets interesting. Not when it's louder, more automated, more performative, but when beauty is doing the real work to support your health. That is the future of design I care about. spaces that support your health, your well-being through neuroaesthetic and biophilic design. Thank you. And I'm now going to introduce Mary Cloud. Mary Cloud.
Alrighty. Hello, hello. My name is Marie Cloud. I am founder and principal designer of Indigo Pruitt Design Studio, based in Charlotte, North Carolina. My studio is rooted in the belief that design should be so much more than beauty. It should support how you feel, how you function, and how you restore yourself and your family. I am honored to walk through this space with you today. Before we dive in, you may notice a QR code in the first few slides. That is a treat for you. That is a curated playlist for you to catch the vibe of what we're putting out, okay? I love to create synergy within a space that starts with a sensory experience. So that is a note for you. As far as the vibe, consider, let's see, Sade meets Cleo Soul. If you know, you know. Anyone know what I'm talking about? But the goal was to create a space and an ambiance that gives more to your body, your nervous system, and create a beautiful sense of self. The entire second floor is the space that we designed. It was created to create a continuous restorative experience. So you're gonna see beautiful curved walls, you're gonna see arched openings, organic transitions. The architecture itself helps support human health. Everywhere you turn before these families enter these singular spaces, they're going to experience a shift in their nervous system. And that's something that we were very intentional about. So you'll see a lot of circular motion, a lot of just beautiful flow within that space. Let's talk about the intentional zones here. So zone 1 is that lounge and family zone where the family gathers, restores themselves together. Zone 2 is that fitness and spa zone. So we're talking movement, we're talking hydrotherapy and thermal restoration. And that final zone is the teen zone where identity, creativity, and emotional safety are some health principles that we took into account. Every material that we selected, of course, we considered conscious health and science lens. We used this beautiful oak flooring as a biophilic foundation from Mafi. And then Star Towel is what we draped our beautiful shower in. It has a beautiful tactical sensory connection. And of course, our friends over at Phillips Collection created the sculptural movement within the space with some amazing statement pieces. And of course, our beautiful lighting collection, or the beautiful lighting package was provided by Christorama. Let's see, are we moving? There we go. I had the honor of creating the family profile for this beautiful home. And I wanted to be sure that this intentional family dynamic does not get lost with all the beauty that you're going to see here today. The profile describes a high-performing Black family, and I named that specifically because it has shaped every decision that was made specifically within my space. Black Americans have 40% more likely times to develop high blood pressure than white Americans. Chronic stress is that primary driver. There is a term in medical research called weathering, which I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with, but if you're not, the accelerated biological aging that occurs from consistently being stressed over time is what that is. And so for this family home, it's not just a place for them to live, but it's a place for them to recover. This floor was designed as a direct health intervention, and I am honored to be a part of that. So we have a little technical difficulties. My videos aren't loading, I guess. I wouldn't be myself if I didn't shake things up here. So y'all just rock with me, all right? Let's see. So the canopy. So if you think about the canopy in nature, it is the upwardmost layer of the forest where light filters through, where shelter is created by living things growing towards something greater, something bigger. And so that is what we call the upper level, the canopy. Welcome to the canopy. As you step into this floor, the space itself is imagined to be a sense of retreat. When you walk in, you're going to get hit with the scent of lavender in the air, soft, very intentional. It's the first scent note you're going to experience as you're coming up the stairs. Here's a tighter shot of it. Again, video's not loading, but hopefully you guys catch the drift on this still image. The lounge is the emotional heart of the floor. Prospect and refuge is the porthole windows. The porthole windows is what that is being delivered. The open views to nature is allowing the space to flow beautifully as it wraps, kind of creates a protective layer around you. The brain needs both that stimulating feeling, and I think the accents that we put within that space help bring that. Of course, you see the fire accent there. That botanical fireplace is one of the biophilic design, one of the top biophilic design principles that allows you to create grounding elements. Fractal patterns, of course, are throughout the space, and it's going to, of course, help reduce psychological stress by up to 60%, as Mike shared with us. No video again. Oh, we got a little movement on there. This reading nook was created to be a visual connection with nature. We created an Oculus there so that you can, grab a book and kind of connect, with what you see outdoors. The body resets by design. So we were very intentional with the shower space, using the star towel throughout that entire shower space. So tactical experience, and then of course creating some fractal patterns with that. Then we're heading into the teen space. So this is a young, vivacious teenage girl. Any parents of teenage women or young women know that it's important that we're catering to this sensitive stage of life they're in. So we were very intentional about using soft, soothing colors that create calmness and safety. Research confirms that when you're intentional about your color palettes and having a safe space, is going to lower all the things. My videos aren't loading, and it's really throwing me off, guys. Let's see. Not loading again. All right. You'll see Sherwin-Williams colors throughout the entire space. We use this muted mauve, again, creating just a soft, subtle, dusty lavender vibe to create a calm and restful sleep. Crystalrama has this beautiful botanical chandelier that we absolutely fell in love with, and I think it grounds the space and connects with the botanical pattern throughout this space. We use Phillips collection on a lot of our items, bringing in some of those natural elements. You may see the desk and the chair there, bringing in that natural wood. And that is the canopy. Appreciate you guys.
It's been a long time since I actually held a mic, so let's see. Mic in one hand, clicker in the other. It's gonna be interesting. All right, hi y'all. My name is Erica McLean. I am from Dallas, Texas, and I had the honor of designing an adolescent retreat. But before we dive in today, I have to wish a very, very happy 5th birthday to my son, my firstborn, Emerson. He has been asking me for months, Mommy, when's my happy birthday? And I knew it would fall on today, but my kids know literally everything I do, including being here with you today, is for them. So he's okay with it. He says hi, and happy birthday, baby. All right, so I want you to meet another sweet little boy. This is 8-year-old Jeremiah, and he is, as I lovingly like to call, neurospicy. So he has been diagnosed with visual dyslexia. He is mildly autistic, but he also, where he really suffers, is with auditory hypersensitivity. But he's also so curious. He's smart. He has a great group of friends. He's such an engineering mind. And all these things that make him a little bit different, or as we say, neurodivergent, he's going to grow up with the right nurturing to know that these are actually going to be his superpowers. So we've all heard this saying, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. But what you'll come to learn the more and more you dive into the science behind design is that, as Anjan Chatterjee says, who is the professor of neuroaesthetics at UPenn, beauty is in the brain of the beholder. So it's my job as a neurodesigner to do my best to understand Jeremiah's neurological makeup, what triggers him, what stimulates him, and so that I can make sure that I'm a part of helping his superpowers come to fruition. So we started with this pretty generic floor plan from the builder, and then one of the first things that I noticed is this would be Jeremiah's bedroom. He has such a lack of privacy. Every guest that enters the home, anyone that needs to go to a coat closet, has to pass his bedroom door. So he has no, just casually leaving his door open. There's gonna be so much noise pollution just from people he may not even know in his home. So that was one of the first things. I wanted to reimagine this whole square area, move the powder room up by the entry door, and give him really his space. The other thing I was able to do by moving the bathroom over where the powder room previously was create a study room for him. As an 8-year-old, his job is to be learning how to be the most productive member of society that he can grow up to be, learn all of the things, and just for him, have a quiet space to just learn and embrace. And so that was something we wanted to add to his suite. But the other thing we did that was really special for him, because yes, he has auditory sensitivities, but music is his love language and one of his favorite things. So we created a listening room. And how many people say that the kitchen is the heart of the home. For Jeremiah, this listening room is the heart of his suite. So when we were designing this, and we realized with his auditory kind of sensitivities, sound actually serves as a protection mechanism. It enables him to have privacy, focus, a sense of control. It also is something they use to anchor his routine. So when we were designing this listening cove, we were very intentional about not just designing the room, but designing the entire soundscape. So we used the piece de resistance, I should say, of this room is this beautiful light that actually serves as a speaker. And we put it on the ceiling. It was designed right here in High Point by Beacon Lighting. By the way, am I echoing? Is it just me? I'm good? Okay, cool. Just had to check in. Speaking of sound sensitivities. Okay, so we wanted to put wood panels on the walls. Wood absorbs 14 times the amount of sound dampening than traditional drywall. Wood is also on the ceilings. We have a beautiful, you can't see in this photo, Fazy rug. The other thing we have that I think is amazing, also done right here in High Point that I love to use, there's a company called Splashworks. So that piece of art is by a fine artist named Riley Holloway, but it's printed right here in High Point on Splashworks acoustic sound panels that really help to make sure that the sounds coming through this room are perfectly tuned. The other thing we wanted to do with Jeremiah is help him connect with nature and get all the benefits of, say, like forest bathing simply by being in his space. If you haven't already, there is a little burlap satchel with a little wood chip. I want you all to open it and give it a really deep smell. The woods we use throughout the entire project are from a company called Biophilia out of Austria. The doors, the shelving, the cabinetry, the ceiling. And this wood is special, and it's all natural. And the thing is, we all know about, like lavender as a scent that is very soothing. That's the linalool. And what that is the terpene that's coming through. All plants kind of produce terpenes. What you're smelling right there is Swiss stone pine out of Europe. So not only does it have the effects of reducing stress and cognitive strain, but specifically the terpenes in that wood actually help to aid with reduction of allergy and allergen fatigue, and it also reduces systemic inflammation. So these are things that are just all natural and soothing for Jeremiah as he's going through his day. And we were even able, due to kind of the treatment of the wood, curve it around this biomorphic curve in his room. So the wood continues into even the bathroom. And you may be wondering, how is natural wood on the bathroom floor? But that's what I mean about natural. It's still an engineered hardwood, but there's absolutely no polyurethanes, no ammonias, no stains. The pores of the wood can breathe, and humidify and dehumidify, just like a tree in the forest. So Jeremiah is able to have this textural, tactile experience in his bathroom, a warm wood underfoot, a lot less very slip resistant. And we have these layering of textures, which really help to kind of start to bring that notion of comfort alive. Adding to the natural material, we have this natural stone mirror that's from Philip's collection. And we also, adding to the tactile of the space, have cork on the walls and even cork on the ceiling. Cork is able, in its natural form when it's expanded, to, again, operate just like a tree in the forest. And it also has the benefit in these woods as well of being natural antimicrobial. So we're giving him a very tactile and healthy and just overall healthy sensory experience for his living environment. And when we start talking about making things more visual, this is when fractals come into play. So as you've heard several things about fractals today, what they really do is to help organize. And nature is complex, and it's beautifully complex. But our ancient brains, and when we used to live out in nature, we're used to that complexity, and there's a range of it that is actually soothing for us, and that's the coherence piece. So we really leaned into that when we were designing his homework space. We needed a space that was going to be stimulating, but also really allow him to focus. And so to do his floating desk, because it's not a large space, so we had to make use of the space we had. So we did a floating desk with Moffy's ingrain wood. We also used this House of Hackney kind of more tapestry-like wallpaper. So it's bringing in the fractals. The other thing we did very intentionally is you'll see, this is the only room in the area that is blue. Blue has one of the shortest color wavelengths. So we know color is not just visual, it's actual energy. So we wanted to make sure, I'm always very careful about putting blue into a bedroom. It's a good color for where daytime activities are happening, but in the wrong tone, it can be overstimulating. But I do love this color by Sherwin-Williams. It's perfect for his little secret homework nook that he can access privately through his closet. It's called Secret Cove. So jumping a little bit more quickly into just the science of how the space is designed, and going back to Dr. Anjan Chatterjee, his research has found that the way we psychologically perceive and respond to the environment around us really is organized by three principles. They are coherence, hominess, and fascination. So Jeremiah, being a neurodivergent child, he really leans into that coherence, where things need to feel organized, because there's already so much kind of chaos going on in his head. And also hominess. So that's where we really anchored his bedroom. But then you'll see it moves, because it's also intent-based. What he needs to be able to achieve when he's in his homework space is slightly different. We still need the coherence so he can focus. We also need the fascination to make sure he stays stimulated enough while he's getting his homework done. In the listening room, we were able to really lean into hominess, because this is purely for him, a unique space tailored to his musical interests. And then we were able to layer in more fascination in the bathroom. That's just a quick area, where he's going in, starting his day, showering, winding down at the end of the day, brushing his teeth. All the lights are dimmable, so that kind of soothes the pattern in the evening time. But you'll see how when you're thinking about the science of designing spaces, it's all about intent-based, and that intent can be flexible. The other space we didn't really dive into, but can still make a big difference, is just this sort of entry hallway here. So what we did, rather than needing his parents to be able to come in and out to help him plan his day, this is kind of his planning area. He and his parents can plan out his day, organize what's going on, and it's all right outside his bedroom door. So that when he goes inside his suite, it is truly his retreat. So that's all I have for you today. Obviously, there's so much more to cover, but I'm gonna put this back on. But yeah, please reach out if you want to, talk about how to become more clinician of design. And yeah, thank you.
Just forward. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. We are a little bit behind schedule, and I'm going to get everybody out of here on time. So I have 4 short slides, and I do want to start out by saying hello. I am Angela Harris. I am the CEO and principal of Trio. We are a full-service interior design firm out of Denver, Colorado. We work from coast to coast, and our primary work is in builder development work, new community development work. We had a team of 5 on this particular. We were tasked with the primary suite as well as the primary bath. Very special thank you to Tia. Tia, raise your hand. She was one of the 5 on the design team and did an exceptional job. So I want to take it back just a little bit for just a second because we are so focused on new community development. I have a little bit different perspective in terms of how do we go macro and then come micro. There are 73 different design principles in neuroaesthetics, and so you can get really lost really, really fast. For us, because we are a human-centric design firm, we concentrate on how to ground those things, and one of the things that we do in order to do that is really understand the human condition. So in understanding that human condition, we know that humans are ontological, they're biological, and they are creators. And so we have to foster all 3 of those areas in order to achieve the aesthetic outcome that we are trying to achieve. So for us, in this project particularly, we started with grounding really the 4 kind of sacred elements, which is earth, air, water, and fire. And we wanted to ground the space in those 4 elements, and we wanted to make them visible from any space in that particular room. So the first thing we did is we worked with BSB Design, who is an incredible architecture firm. We took out the door, the access to the door to the primary suite, and we did that because we wanted that safety and security right off the bat when you come into your primary suite. As you also come into this space, and you'd have to refer back to the floor plan for this, but we created a threshold. Because through life, everybody goes through thresholds day in and day out, all day long. And so that is an underlying unconscious thing that we as humans connect to, so entering into a space with that sense of arrival is very important. As you get into the space, the very first thing you can see is a massive picture window. We did this specifically, so we blew out this window and we created the window seat. You saw a lot of window seats in this presentation, and primarily because we are trying to foster contemplation, intuition, imagination. All of those things are very important to also support the scientific component that we are tying into. So you see the fire, you see the view line outside. Right off the bat, we are tapping into fractal patterns, and the way that we are doing that is to remind ourselves that we are biological and we are all made up of fractal patterns. And so we worked with the landscape architect to plant that tree right in front of that window, and every time I tell a landscape architect to plant a tree in front of a window, there's massive pushback. But I'm telling you, if you, do I have one? Yeah. There is a biological, instant, innate connection right off the bat. So it's very important that these multi-perspectives and these multi-disciplines are coming together for the greater good of any space aesthetically. But, so that's one of the very first things that we did. We also wanted to really make sure that we had a good level, I'm gonna go back for just a second, of visual complexity. So even though there's 73 different principles, we try to kind of bucket them. We've gotten them down to 5 main ones. Visual complexity is one of them. Fractal patterns is another. Biophilic design, very important. Color theory, all of those things, as well as the senses. So really honed in on the tactile component, the feel of the materials that are getting integrated into the space, as well as natural materials from a construction perspective. So we all know design, we love design. Design is about layering. And so we have to layer those construction elements as well as the FF&E, and that's really important in pulling these projects off successfully. This is the primary bath, circadian lighting. We did some more biophilic design. Let's see, I don't know, there we go. And the primary suite. Oh, the video's not working, but that's okay, we'll go back. There's a good shot of this too. So when you're standing right in the primary suite, you're going to see the fire and the water together. The waterfall is actually opened to the back side. So we worked with BSB to open up this whole shower line so that there's a continued through to the outdoor space. And we primarily did that for several different reasons. Again, we're creating the thresholds. We have biophilic design. We have the sacred element of water. We have rest and relaxation. I mean, the list is long in this particular area. We have the sound of water, which is very, very important, and we have rituals. And so we can tie into those rituals in this particular space. And did I say thresholds already? And thresholds. So, very exciting, and we paired that all with all very natural materials, which is really, really important. So, that is our space. When we looked at this, I can tell you how we kind of all came about this. 7 years ago, Mike called me and he said, do you know anything about this neuroaesthetic? And I was like, yeah, Mike, we design beautiful things all the time. He's like, no. I said, you mean sustainability? We do sustainability all the time. He's like, no. He's like, beauty. And I said, beauty. And so it's a very important component when we're looking at the neuroaesthetics and the principles and what we're creating as far as aesthetics. For us, it really came down to the same thing. We were seeing demographics. We're seeing 45% of people all across America that has some type of mental illness. As designers, you start to think about that ethical imperative and how important it is to make sure that we have spaces that can resonate and provide these things ontologically, biologically, and tap into our creative nature. There are some incredible companies out there that have been leading this charge from the beginning of time, like Philips Collection, and there's some new ones coming online, like Magpie, that we really need to tap into as a community and leverage, because it takes us all. It takes the architects, the designers, the landscape architects, the visionaries. And so we have a big task ahead of us, and looking forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you to everyone on the design team. And you've seen each room now individually. Let's take a 3D video walk through the house. Okay, I'm going to ask you to do that again. Can we have a special round of applause for Devin Sigmund and this incredible team of designers? I have a couple of fast slides I want to show you, but I want to say to you also, if you like this subject matter and you want to learn more, and you want to perhaps even be certified so that you can be speaking the same language as this collection of designers, go to scienceanddesign.com and look under the certification tab. All right, Very quickly, if any of you are in the Atlanta area, I hope you will join us on May 7th. We're having a special half day of education at ADAC. And I hope you will join us. It's the Wellness Day at ADAC. The event is sponsored by the brand new chapter of IDS Atlanta, and you can learn more about it at adacatlanta.com to register. Jenna Jacobs-Freeman, John Ballantyne, and Kat Blue will join me on stage talking about neuroaesthetics, and they'll talk about how it has exploded their business. That's number one. Number two, and this is special. As a result of today's presentation, we've created a deep dive into neuroaesthetics and biophilic design. On May 14th, we will hold a full day of education online starting at 10 a.m. Our speakers are the who's who of the science industry. Dr. Richard Taylor, the fractal fluency specialist out of the University of Oregon. Jennifer Walsh, a strategic advisor to the Harvard Brain Institute. Don Ruggles, author of Beauty, Neuroscience, and Architecture, has a brand new presentation on homeostasis, the need to keep our nerves in balance. Kate Bendewald and Nina Lichtenstein, both certified designers, will talk about how neuroaesthetics has exploded their business. And we will also do something fun. We're going to have a live open mic lunch hour. We're very fortunate to have followers in many countries now, regular followers from Sweden, New Zealand, Brazil. And so we're all going to be online together and chatting and hopefully sharing good ideas. To learn more about this, go to scienceanddesign.com to register. And this is fun. You're all invited. Right after this presentation, we're all going to have a happy hour party at the Christorama Lighting Showroom. It's the showroom space is H241, and it's going to start right after this presentation. I have to thank a lot of people, because you can't get to this momentum in science and design and neuroaesthetics without having a lot of people believing in you and being visionaries. So I want to thank Angela Harris and Trio Design, who has been here from just about the very beginning. Christy Galino and Ryan Rancino from Christorama Lighting. Mafi Hardwood Flooring, Michael Bauer at Fazy Rug, everyone at the High Point Market Authority. Jason Phillips at Phillips Collection, and where it all started for me, Mark Phillips at the Phillips Collection. Clint Craven at Sherwin-Williams, and the lady who has been with me on this journey from the very, almost like the first day, Jane Dagme at the High Point by Design. Let's pull this together. I love this subject. It has consumed me for the last 11 years. All of us at Science and Design are seeing and feeling the phenomenal momentum that this cause now has. You know, 8 years ago, when I first started talking about science and design, I did a presentation at the Dallas Market Center. There were only 15 people in the room. The person who introduced me didn't get my name right. We laugh about it now, and he's a good friend, and he's an ardent supporter of science and design. Today, we average 175 attendees to our monthly webinars. We have a monthly newsletter that goes out now to 7,500 subscribers. That's what's happening with this movement and this whole concept of the importance of science-based design. We all need to own it. We need to live it. We need to experience it. It's changing our industry. It's changing the value perception of who we are and what our industry is good for. So I thank you all very much for coming. And on behalf of all of these designers on stage, thank you. And we'll see you in a few minutes at Christorama.